Cats and critical people out there. This is our after hours hip or critical lounge where we forego our normal structured, structured show for something a little off the wall and things we didn't get a chance to talk to and we really still feel like we'd like to talk about. How you doing today at the lounge, Alexa MKE?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Dave Mokey? What are we going to talk about and rant about today?
All right. Well, this little short little rant here that we're throwing on is just a little bit about the trolling that happens to women on the internet, and you've mentioned this before. We've talked about this. The part where Reddit was just showing all the trolls, and and you didn't like that, right? They had a whole troll show on one of your shows, right?
Actually, that was on Google Plus, but
Google
yeah.
Plus, that was it, right? Yeah. But and again, I just want to dive into that a little bit more because this kind of stuck out at me a little bit. And I understand as much as a 50, year plus, a few pluses after 50-year-old man that has 3 daughters.
Fifth childhood is what that's called.
Fifth child, right. 50 is the new 25. All right. And I understand that the internet can be a cruel place, from trolls in the gaming community to the frustrated date-less loners that peruse the dating site. It's hard out there for a girl. It's hot out there for a girl, which again,
yeah, it can be.
Which again, I found out from the Olympics is also a derogatory term now. So again, I'm sorry for saying girls. Now, with that in mind, I give you 2 examples of how women handled unwarranted flirtatious solicitations by men. All right, so let's go to Casanova number 1. Excuse me again. Where's my cough mic? All right, Casanova number 1. All right, and these were both on LinkedIn, folks. Okay, which
which is for people who don't know, that's a professional site, and it's mostly for professionals to network. It's not really a dating site. It's not a friends site. It is all professional stuff.
Right. It's just supposed to be networking in the professional environment. All right. So, Casanova number 1. Ding, ding, ding. You are beautiful. Then the woman responds, "This is a professional website. Please act like a professional." Next person, "Well, a simple thank you would have been sufficient, honey. Be more nice. This is a nice website for nice people." And then she comes back, "You're misinformed. The LinkedIn mission statement is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful, not to use it to message women the same you would Tinder without the need to match them. Because it's irrelevant whether they want your attention or not, they should be thankful for the compliments on their looks on a professional website. I'm not grateful for your comment. I find it entirely unprofessional that you're using this platform to message women. So why would I thank you?" That is a nice response to someone. Now, did it work? I hope so. I hope the guy didn't keep going on it. But again, certainly something. I mean, how would you respond yourself?
Well, in the workplace, there are rules in place for sexual harassment. And so on the internet, not so much. So you have to learn as a female to navigate some of that. And I've been a victim of a little bit of it, but I have a little bit more humor in how I brush stuff off. And having been a professional who utilized forums and websites and social media to create my brand, you have to be ready for that. And I do agree that the woman's responses were professional. She didn't stoop to the level of undermining him, just reminding him that this was a website for networking for professionals and that there are other places online to hook up because there's plenty. Okay, yeah. So you have another example.
Okay, so now here's example number 2, all right? A LinkedIn gentleman responded to her account and said, "Charlotte, delighted to connect. I appreciate that this is probably horrendously and politically incorrect, but that is a stunning picture. You definitely win the prize for best LinkedIn picture I have ever seen. Always interest to understand people's skills and how we might work together." All right, now, I'm sorry, I read that one, and the first thing I was looking at was like, okay, well, wait, why is this news? Is it because he said always interest to understand people's skills?
Oh, and we will do a
I
grammar Nazi deep round
yeah,
at some point.
we'll say that again. Yes, yes. But that's what I was. I was like a grammar Nazi. Well, yeah, I mean, this guy is out there reaching out to people, and you know, he really can't even put together a hello picture. But unfortunately, I guess, again, being the 50-year-old middle-aged dad that I am, I, again, missed the whole picture of what this guy was actually saying to this woman.
Well, and I want to interject too that,
Sure.
you know, the internet is the World Wide Web, and English is not everybody's first language. So we can be grammar Nazis to a certain extent, but that's my little interjection, is that English is not everybody's first language, or they could be on mobile and it's not auto-correcting.
Yes. Which, again, not the time to put together an introductory letter. All right. So now this is how the Charlotte responded. I find your message offensive. I am on LinkedIn for business purposes, not to be approached about my physical appearance or to be objectified by sexist men. The eroticization of women's physical appearance is a way of exercising power over women. It silences women's professional attributes as their physical appearance becomes the subject. Unacceptable and misogynistic behavior.
Misogynistic, yeah.
Boy, blah, blah, misogynistic behavior. Think twice before sending another woman half your age such a sexist message. Charlotte. All
well,
right.
she was stern, and she probably turned him off with the first message, so hopefully he went away.
No, this is a separate person. This is what I'm saying.
Right. No, I'm talking about this separate person.
Well,
hopefully
okay,
the one response
right.
sent him away permanently and gave him something to think about. No, it wasn't the nicest way to say it, but at the end of the day, you know, she may have been getting a lot of, you know, trolling or phishing or whatever you want to call it from these guys, and maybe just was done with it. And if you hear a lot of it or you see a lot of it, you know, it does become a problem. For me personally, being female, being on the internet, having, you know, like I've had professional websites and everything. I actually didn't put my photo online for quite some time, because I did get some of that, and without people even seeing me. And in fact, I know women who have been like in their 60s and 70s who were on professional websites and social media who were getting those types of trolling responses from guys. And I don't know if they were trying to catfish them or what, but at the end of the day, being female on the internet can be, you know, trying at times. And sometimes you just want to leave because there are so many cads. There are so many rude people. There are trolls. There are horrible, horrible individuals. And, you know, if we leave, you know, oh, well, they hurt our feelings and oh, too bad. Well, you know what? Everybody has feelings. I don't care whether you're a man or a woman. I don't care whether you're young or old, you know, and I would never presume to do that to, you know, any men. And I'm sure, you know, you having a daughter would never presume, you know, but you're in a relationship. But I mean, even if you weren't, you would never presume to do that type of thing, especially on a professional you know, on a professional website.
This is, you know, again, some of this is, again, ignorance. This is old school guys, you know, trying to be friendly and everything like that, and not knowing the proper way because they never were brought up in this new era.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I will argue with you there because
everything takes time to incorporate. He thought he was being nice. Do you think he was doing that as a malicious thing, saying you have the prettiest picture? Do you think that was a malicious thing?
Oh, come on. That's creepy. And everybody, you know.
She calls him a misogynist, a person who hates or doesn't trust women. Is that what he really said to you?
No, I mean, that wasn't probably the right word, but being a creeper was probably the right word because he was a creeper. I mean, I'm sorry.
Go back to her, though. So a person who hates men can be described as a misandrist. Now, between the two people, reading that guy saying, she's saying he hates women, and reading what she says, and she hates men, which of the two are kind of a little bit louder? Now,
I would say,
again, I would have to say some media attached her is the label of feminazi, and this is part of what you're saying. And I don't really understand a little bit feminazis because, again, I believe in feminism. I do. She says, I never expected, of course, to receive that. To be compared to Hitler and to the extermination of millions of Jews, I think is utterly abhorrent, completely unacceptable. That term should never be used, and can be used in such a callous way as it is innocuous, a bit of a joke, and a bit of fun.
She
Now,
sounds
feminism
like
is
a
a movie for granted
millennial.
women. Right.
She,
So feminism is
I don't know who this person is. She does sound like a millennial who tend to be a little touchier. I've been around the block a couple times. I'm also in my 5th childhood. So, I guess I tend to take more things with a grain of salt because I don't go along to get along, but I definitely marginalize people who don't, aren't of value to me. And so, but I try not to be rude about it. I mean, both of these people in this exchange were rude. He was rude to message her on a professional website, and she was rude to, kind of dress him down for that because that wasn't her role. I mean,
well,
if it
okay,
is a professional
right.
website, don't dress him down. Just say your
Here's the
advance
next
is
one.
unwelcome. Too bad.
Right.
First
Right. And again, this is everything is hypocritical. I try not to be a hypocrite. I'm sure I do in many things. Religion. Again, but
we all are
again,
to a certain extent
exactly
on all sorts of
and
things.
again, I don't mind being called on it because again, I would like to hear something from the other side as well. On Twitter and social media, again, they gave her the death threats. They're all incredibly harassing and threatening. It's a form of hate speech against women. And again, here it is again. She's like saying, though, oh, this attack on me is about attack on women. No, honey. It's not against all women. It's against you. And again, while you're at it, if you're going to throw rocks, let's look up ageism. Because what's ageism? The discrimination or unfair treatment based on a person's age. It can impact someone's confidence, job prospects, financial situation, and quality of life. So she called it an unacceptable behavior. Think twice before sending another woman half your age such a sexist message. All right. So she's checked all the boxes on ageism just in that little comment. All right. Now, exposing this thing is meant to impact that. She exposed this to impact on that confidence, job prospect, and financial situation because she wanted this guy talked to, probably even fired. That's what I'm sure, he should be fired. All right. Well, if it quacks like a duck, and says things like a duck, looks like a duck, she's got ageism. You can't tell me you're going to be fighting for one and using another one. I mean, he threw a spit wad at her, and she turned around with a howitzer. The minute she released it to the world, she became a social experiment. She became the social experiment. Lady, you decided that just making your point and moving on, like you said, wasn't enough. You had to show everyone that you made this point. And as you pointed out, this is a job site. Did you really think this would help you get a job? Easy to blame the haters on your inability to find a job that fulfills your needs. I guess we have to find that on your terms. And again, you brought it up perfectly, and this is where I'm going to kind of end this little rant. And they got a little closing comment, but I feel her beef, like you said, is really with LinkedIn. They shouldn't even have pictures allowed for the site. It should not be allowed. Let the resume do the talking. In the end of all this, I'd like to give the job to number one, though, person number one, because she kept a clear head and during an unwarranted solicitation, not unlike a sales call. There are some of us that can be good on a sales call and be nice. Or number two, not so much. All right. So
well, I think you're missing the point. I think the point is that people think that the internet is an okay place to get behind a keyboard and write whatever you want. And you always have to be cognizant of the environment you're in. It's like you don't walk into a bar and then think you're going to get,
put country hats on and put rock and roll on.
Well, no, you don't. You don't walk into a bar and think you're going to sit down for a 5-star, meal. I mean, you're just not going to. And you don't walk into Summerfest and think that you're going to see, some, really casual, whatever. Everybody's there to party, and it's not going to be low key. I mean, if you don't like crowds, you don't go to Summerfest. If you don't like, bars, you don't go in there for a meal. I mean, there's, so on the internet, you're cognizant of the environment you're in. So if you're on a professional environment, you act professional. If you're on Tinder, you can do what you want because it's Tinder.
Is that professional enough to go and put that out there for responses and then?
Well, no, but I'm saying both of them.
Wanted?
I'm saying both of them are wrong, and it's not about, even at that point, it's not about, should one of them be fired or the other be fired, or was one right or was one wrong? They were both wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. And, check your privilege at the door. You know, any feminist or whatever trying to push their agenda, because I'm a feminist and I'm a pretty stout feminist. But I don't like her response any more than I see some of the responses, like I was talking about the vegan trolling on our last podcast. I don't like any of that any more than I like the vegan trolling that goes on, or the way some of the vegans are you know, abolitionists and push their agenda on others. You know, there's a time and a place for everything. And on the internet, yes, be cognizant of where you are. Be cognizant of who your audience is. Be cognizant of, you know, what you're saying. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me right now? Thank you, Craig Ferguson. That was in his comedy routine. But it is good advice for everybody.
Yes. All right. My final rant within the rant is the word hate is just batted around way too much.
That's that's a tangent, because we're at 15 minutes already. So
it's quick. It's quick. I'm sorry. I hate it when you do that. I hate it when they don't do it. I hate that show. I hate that restaurant. I hate that movie. I hate that person. Hate is the final word in dislike. There's no further place to go. So when you say it about more than one thing, a song or a teacher or a boss, it is meaningless. It's like awesome of dislike. You need to do a different version of this and try to be
awesome. You're awesome. I like awesome.
See, I go fantastic now, because my dad says whenever you're on the phone with a sales call guy, it's always like, oh, that's awesome, awesome, awesome. And I go, so now I go fantastic. So try to just say things like, I have animosity towards that, or my bitterness of feeling stops me from liking that. Or I have an extreme.
All right, Dave. All right, Dave. I gotta stop you, because you're going on 20 minutes now.
Said it the best. Hate is a strong word, but I really, really, really don't like you, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, Dave, you got to be done. So I'm gonna cut Dave off, because he could probably wax poetic for another 10 minutes.
Sorry.
But this was one of our deep rants. Keep watching. Check out our Facebook page, Critical, and. Yeah, the After Hours Lounge. All right, you guys have a good one. Peace out.